Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies inside of Uford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Before we get started today, a little bit of housekeeping in relation to what's going on in the western part of North Carolina after Hurricane Helene. A lot of recovery efforts underway. I think people, now that cell service is getting restored, we're getting a proper understanding of the devastation that's taken place. Like Joe, I was telling you this before we hit record. We've been to Asheville a bunch of times. We love Asheville. The kids love Asheville. And in order to give them like proper perspective, they're very familiar with the New Belgium brewing facility. They have a really nice area right there on the French Broad that's pretty high up, overlooking the River Arts District. And I showed them a picture that had been making the rounds of how high the river had gotten to the point where it was up to and over the deck where they've been a bunch of times. And they're like, well, wait a minute. You're looking down on the river arts. I'm like, right. All that stuff got submerged. So it's pretty devastating. And we're still trying to find a way to contribute to all of this. But in the meantime, there's a lot of organizations, a lot of teams that are helping out. And it's coming from the area. I was actually texting with somebody you and I both know, Joe, that lives out in Boone, asking him how he was doing. And he was pretty fortunate that they were high enough up that they weren't affected, even though a bunch of down trees and things like that was getting it difficult to travel down. But, you know, on the campus, I asked, like, hey, you know, is there anything going on with App State that we can help? And they're like, we're just trying to take an approach from the university and we'll go from there, not make it about sports. But sports is contributing the best way they can. Yesterday, you mentioned that the Carolina Panthers, David Tepper, they're going to donate $3 million to those efforts. I'm going to the community game for the Carolina Hurricanes on Wednesday. And the Hurricanes announced that these discounted tickets for Wednesday game are still available. They also made the luxury boxes available as well if you wanted to buy in. Additional donations will be accepted through parking, concessions, silent auction items. Further details are expected to be announced soon. But again, Canes are going to donate ticket revenue from Wednesday's game to those relief efforts. I know that yesterday, Dave Doeren talked about what his team is doing. They're basically collecting donations, supplies, and everything else. Was it Davin Van, who's got family? They've stepped up and they're trying to contribute the best way that they can. So I know that the Wolfpack are having this hurricane relief fund going on right now with drop-off opportunities today, October 1st, if you're listening to today's podcast, and Wednesday, October 2nd from 12 to 8 at the Close King Indoor Practice Facility. They need things like cases of water, pre-mixed baby formula, baby wipes, diapers, shampoo, body wash, flashlights, batteries, blankets, sleeping bags, etc. All that stuff is the things that they're looking for. So if you're looking for opportunities to drop some things off, they'll be doing it over at NC State's indoor practice facility. And I know Carolina football posted this as well. They're highlighting the Red Cross. That's probably the easiest way to give money. Money is always important. And look, Mac Brown from that part of the state spent a lot of time there. He spoke about it yesterday during his press availability.
I know how important our sport is, and we love football and we love those kids, but I also want thoughts and prayers for the people in Western North Carolina. We've got Sally and I have lived up there, and we have so many friends up there, and it's really devastating. They don't have phone service. They don't have Wi-Fi. Roads are out. Trees are down. They're encouraging people not to go to the mountains. People that are up there can't get off the mountain. They don't have food. There's not water in some of the hospitals. I mean, it is totally devastating to think that a storm could do that much damage. So make sure that all of us keep the fine people of Western North Carolina in our thoughts and prayers. And there's been a lot of people that have been lost. And I'm sure that more people even looking for people with all the damage and the flooding. So let's keep things in perspective and please put your thoughts and prayers to the mountains.
So one other item, one of our corporate champions, Two Roosters, is doing what they can. And right now, this is from their Instagram. We were texting with Jared yesterday. They got the Appalachian Apple Stack Cake. In Joe's world, it's just the apple stack cake.
Correct.
Because you don't want to try to pronounce Appalachian.
No. I've learned from John Rothstein. You don't make that mistake publicly.
Appalachian. Don't do that.
Like he
don't do
added
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. So, as Jared points out, these flavors feature an apple butter base with chunks of molasses, cake, and butternut frosting. 100% of the proceeds from the sale of this flavor will go to Hurricane Helene relief in the mountains of North Carolina. They're busy baking, creating, and delivering Appalachian apple stack cake to the shops over the next couple of days. So this flavor won't be available to purchase until October 2nd. It'll be available all month long. Obviously, sending love to everyone directly affected by the hurricane and everything that's been taking place since. So I just wanted to get that out of the way for different ways to contribute to what's going on in the western part of the state. I know we have a lot of listeners that live out that way. So we're going to see what we can do. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we might have some sort of finalized plan. I have an idea in my head. I just want to make sure we can make sure we can actually do it. So you want to get to football?
Sure.
Back to what people expect from us?
I was sitting here bad-mouthing the NFL, and what they deliver last night? Christmas miracle. Well, the one game was terrible.
The one game.
The one game was what we've seen par for the course this NFL season.
No.
The Titans and Dolphins slogging through it. And that felt like a Thursday night game. Like, I literally had to look at the OG clock to see what day of the week it was. That was so bad by both sides.
Yeah. I mean, we could start there.
The second game, I was like, oh, wait, teams are still allowed to play offense?
What?
And it's Jared Goff and the Detroit offense that I predicted this year because they play every single game, but 2 inside this year.
Yeah. It is interesting. I had that thought in watching this because I watched the Dolphins Titans games. I subjected myself to that last night.
I watched a quarter of it, and that was plenty.
Now, I wanted to see just how bad life came at you fast for Mike McDaniel.
Poor guy.
I mean, I was texting with my cousin Angela last night, and I was like, why am I watching this? She's like, because you have to? I certainly don't. And I was like, man, Mike McDaniel thought he was coming in, big swinging D. He's got that Miami glow up. And she goes, yeah, but you also see what Miami can do to you. It's all fun and games for a couple of weeks while you're partying on South Beach. But then you wake up one day and you go, I've done too much. And that's kind of where things are right now with the Miami Dolphins.
Literally following the arc of Scarface here. You got the montage, take it to the limit. You got Tyreek Hill looking good. Jalen Waddle looking good.
Yeah, man.
A-Chain looking good.
So when do I get Mike McDaniel in his palatial office at Joe Robbie Stadium, coming up for air from a mountain of coke?
Soon.
Pretty soon, right?
The fall comes for us all. Joe.
You would too if you're down to your third string quarterback and look, props to ESPN. They tried last night. They tried like Hallandale High School. Here's this, this local Sun. He's 5 miles from the stadium. It's going to be no. It wasn't. It was not good last night. Not good.
In fairness, he got better as the game went along. But yeah, I mean, the struggle was real for Snoop Huntley last night and for the Miami offense. You're talking about a team now in Tennessee that was like, there's been a lot of bad quarterbacks have a renaissance this season. Who could we get off the scrap heap and contribute to this renaissance? I've got an idea, says the Titans. Mason Rudolph. No one will believe it. Sammy Football, Sam Darnold, sure. And he can
great
do it.
Story. Why
right?
not?
Baker
He's got his
Mayfield.
revenge game against the Jets this week. Nah. We got a real one for
Baker
you.
Mayfield, pick 1-1. Come on, man. That's too easy. Let's go get Mason Rudolph.
Jeez. Ridiculous. All right. I had 2 thoughts watching the Dolphins last night. The first one was, say what you want about system quarterbacks, okay? Because we do live in an era where you have a Mike McDaniel, you have a Shanahan.
I was going to say Mike McDaniel, famously with McVay and Shanahan, right? That's where he learned his football.
These are guys. This is where the great friction is happening right now in the NFL, where we've swung into a offensive coach genius era, and what they're looking for are guys to run their system. And there's this idea. McVay was the first one when they paid Jared Goff a whole bunch of money the first go round, remember? And obviously he's now in Detroit and things are fine. But there was a lot of discussion, I remember, about why are you paying a quarterback this amount of money when he isn't all that good? He's a system QB. Well, funny thing about system QBs, there is value in a QB who can run your system. Not everybody, because the idea is, you can stick anybody in there. Mike McDaniel will coach him up and scheme him up, and you got all these weapons. It'll be just fine. No, it doesn't work that way. So my first thought was, you know what? Say what you want about Tua Tagovailoa. at least he understood when healthy how to run what Mike McDaniel wants. Say what you want about Brock Purdy. He's doing exactly what Shanahan wants. And for a while there with Goff and McVay, doing what they wanted. Okay. So I'm having this thought of like, man, I get that. I don't think Tua Tagovailoa is this difference maker. There's a difference between a Tagovailoa and a Patrick Mahomes, a guy who you bring in, you pay him a bunch of money to do exactly what you want him to do, and he can execute, versus somebody like Patrick Mahomes. The problem is there's not a lot of Patrick Mahomes out there. There's a lot more Tua Tagovailoas out there.
I was told by Matt Rule you can just draft the next.
So I'm having that thought as it plays out. The second thought that I had is the Dolphins were really struggling on offense, and everybody was talking about Tua Tagovailoa, and I just don't know if he's going to be, I say, reliable. I think we have to have an honest conversation about where he is in his career with the concussions. So my second thought was the Panthers and the trade value again.
Oh, Bryce Young.
And whether or not the Panthers should truly kick the tires on listening to the Dolphins and what they have.
For Timu Tua.
Right.
Yeah.
Shine Tua.
Yeah.
Yes. Wish.com Tua. Dollar General Tua.
I feel like Timu works the best on this one.
Timo Tua works. I actually liked Diet Tua. Diet Tua is probably, I mean, they both work. They both work. But I understand the sentiment right now. A lot of Panthers fans are like, there's no value. There's no value.
Sir, I had my Panthers moment on Saturday night when Georgia fell behind by 28-0, and DraftKings was offering me $20 on my $200 bet, and I was like, sold.
So the Panthers,
I'll take it. Thank you.
And the Panthers right now are in a funny spot in that anytime there's a major injury, they're going to be a team that people go, hey, maybe you should trade one of your assets. So like yesterday, Adam Schefter, who was on with Pat McAfee, was talking.
Can't wait for this insight.
I know, right? He's talking about the Titans, right? And DeAndre Hopkins, do they make a move and things like that? And then he had this interesting thing to say about Deontay Johnson.
The Titans are playing tonight. They've struggled so far. If they continue to struggle, to me, that would make sense that you would look to move a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. Adam Thielen, Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson's in the last year of his contract. He's going to be leaving Carolina after this year anyway. If they lose a few more games, why would you not be open to the idea of moving him if you got the right offer before the deadline? And I think the same would be true of Adam Thielen, a veteran who you probably would want to do right by. If you're 1-6 at the trade deadline, if you're 2-7, whatever it may be, they push back the trade deadline a week. I think it's November 3rd this year, or whatever that may be.
So there you go. There's Adam Schefter on with Pat McAfee. He's right. He's absolutely right in how the Panthers should approach this.
There's a real robust market for secondary receivers. Not that Deontay Johnson is, but Devontae Adams obviously is going to be the first piece to move in. We have this fantasy booking. Gosh, we love this, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
I run my fantasy team. I could trade anybody I want. Like everyone's like, oh, Devontae Adams, like he's going to end up on the Jets, and the Jets over here with like, I know you say the salary cap's not real, but it is, and like they literally cannot afford to pay Devontae Adams. They can't go and just trade for him. They can't just like snap their fingers and be like, no, here you go, come on over in the middle of the season. So the trade market in the NFL never quite works out the way that people want it to. But yes, Adam, look at you dispensing useful information there.
You know, it's funny.
Thank God.
I thought about you yesterday when I was reading some industry stuff, and apparently there's a push for Adam Schefter to be the quote unquote ultimate insider. Because
by who?
The conversation is who's going to replace Adrian Wojnarowski for NBA insider coverage, right? And apparently, behind the scenes, Schefter is pushing to be not just an NFL insider, because he's also done some NBA work. He wants to be the quote unquote ultimate insider for both the NBA and the NFL. Maybe politics is next for Schefter. I have no idea. Get the press release before.
I would be embarrassed if the email that he sent to the Washington football team was made public. Obviously, he has no shame. So.
Anyway, look, I'll say this about the Panthers, because I think the Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes have a lot of parallels as to where the Panthers are today versus where the Hurricanes were about 10 years ago before they went on this run. And there's a tendency when you see any glimmer of hope, you just like, that's our guy. Why break this up? They won a game or they looked good. Don't mess with it. No, absolutely not. The best thing you can say about the Carolina Panthers right now and how they've looked offensively is two things. One, when you have somebody in Andy Dalton to run the offense that Dave Canales wants to run, it gives you hope in the sense of like, you know what? Maybe Dave Canales has something there that we can finally see. But there's the flip side to this. Once you start doing the things that the head coach wants you to scheme up and run, and here we go, we got guys wide open, but then people start dropping passes, right? You can see the deficiencies you have.
I'm going to start creating a bingo board of points that I really don't want to repeat.
And that is?
I mean, how many times do you need to watch Jonathan Mingo? How many times does anybody need to watch Jonathan Mingo? Again,
that's what I'm saying.
Again,
so there's
at the risk of sounding very petty, like I fucking figured this out in their first preseason.
No. But it's not about
the rest of you people are like, oh no, Jonathan Mingo and what was the guy name? Oh no, he's gonna be like the Chiefs' next star. Terrace Marshall,
yes.
Get the hell out of here, people.
My point is, it exposes that sort of stuff. And right now, because Panthers fans are in a position where they're just desperate for anything to feel good about, it reminds me of back when the Kyle Allen run happened.
Yes.
Okay. This is the point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
When you great, I understand that the feeling of winning in Charlotte is elusive. But just because you win a couple games doesn't mean there it is. That's what we've been talking about. No, the team's still not good. These still might not be the right pieces. But what you can do now, the rest of the season, they're not going to be in Super Bowl contention. They're not in playoff contention. But what you can do, if I'm Dan Morgan, and if I'm Dave Canales, I'm going to Tepper and I'm saying, look, if we're in this, we have to make wholesale changes. We got to get assets back, and we got to build a team that we want from scratch. That's where the Panthers are. And if you got to trade away guys to get assets, even if they might not be the greatest assets, you do it. Because doing this stuff where you're like in this purgatory ain't it, man. The Buffalo Bills went through this for a long time. They're in that weird middle before they finally landed on where they could go.
The Panthers need to get to the middle before they're in the same purgatory that the Hurricanes were in. The Hurricanes were perpetually in the, if we win 4 of our last 5 games,
right,
and the Maple Leafs, Devils, and Rangers all get, hit with diphtheria, we'll make the playoffs. And it's like, I don't think that's coming over you guys.
It's not so simple. Not so simple.
Housekeeping.
It's brought to you by Enovana. You can check them out online at enovana.com. Green Cleaning Solutions. Joe, you'll be happy to know they are coming to the house today.
Yes.
Just today.
I love an Enovana week at the Ovies household.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
We got the OG Golf Classic coming up. We have Bourbon Raffle.
Oh.
What's up? Show started.
I know. I had something for us. We have a list.
What do you have?
This is a good one. We have a listener.
Okay.
Wade Finch.
Okay.
I didn't ask if his son was offended by our language, but he said, hey, man, sorry. He actually wanted to buy this particular shout out. I said, no. He goes, hey, I go, no, shout outs are free.
Yeah, shout outs are always free.
He goes, my son and I watch the OG together sometimes.
Okay.
I said, and he goes, how much would it take for me to buy a shout out? I said, I got you, man. I got you. I didn't ask him though if Ben was offended by the language on this program. We'll have to make sure I clarify
follow
that.
up on that one.
Yeah, but no, here's your shout out, Wade. And Ben Finch, he's selling popcorn for his Cub Scout pack 438 in Hillsboro. Hit him up, help him out. And appreciate both Wade and Ben for having that father-son OG moments together.
It's bonding, bringing people together.
You tell the haters to off.
Oh,
Wade and Ben.
Jeez, man. And you wonder.
I had to.
And you wonder.
I had to.
And you wonder. I have to remind this to you all the time. It's like you think going full Giglio is cute. No.
I mean, he's the one reaching out. I'm saying tell the haters, not them.
You can tell the haters to buzz off.
Come on. What fun is that?
Jeez, Joe. My goodness. Well, it hasn't affected the YouTube money, so I'm not going to complain. Anyway, we got the OG Golf Classic this Friday.
The Roback OG Golf Classic. I have not sent you what Ben has sent me in terms of what we have in terms of merch.
Okay.
For our winners, our prize winners, our contest winners, friends of this program who have helped us out, i.e. Ken and Chris. So we got some really good stuff for Friday. I'm really excited about Roback. I even, when Ben sent me this picture, I go, you're really smart bringing hoodies that I already have because those wouldn't have gotten distributed to the right people. So very clever move on your part. You be smart. Go to roback.com. Use that promo code OG20.
So as far as the raffle is concerned, we're still taking the non-participants and participants.
We have two separate raffles because in years past, in raffles past, I have felt like a sense of like letting the people down who were there.
Yeah, I agree.
At the event. Like I want, those people are obviously coming out and supporting us in a way that I feel like, okay, especially with this raffle and the bourbon collection that we have this time around. We have a Blanton's on Friday at the OG Golf Classic. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
But everything else that we have, obviously the different Wellers that we have, the stag in there. It's all really good stuff that is an easy way for us to show our appreciation to you. So we thank you.
So Venmo you?
Venmo, Giglio Joe. Yes, Giglio Joe. I'll tweet it out again today with the popcorn, movie theater popcorn ticket options.
Excellent. Go to breezethrough.com. We are in peak tailgate mode right now. So what you can do is head on over to the Lenovo Center location if you want to head out there before you go to the community game. Nailed it.
Take $1 out of the jar.
Nailed it. You can also go before Carter Finley Stadium. They're conveniently located just outside most football stadiums in the state of North Carolina. The Beer Cave is absolutely fantastic. And of course, our friends at Nature's Relief. Check them out online at naturesreliefhempstore.com. I'll probably be driving by Nature's Relief today to get some of those CBDN gummies because they're incredibly helpful when my brain's active after a football game. Brain will be active. Thinking about all my Cooper flag takes here relatively soon.
Ooh, you better get ready.
I do need to get ready for that. And when I get home, man, it's time to zonk out. Nature's Relief comes through in the clutch. So big thanks to Nature's Relief Hemp Store. Check them out online at naturesreliefhempstore.com. That's RELEAF hempstore.com. All right, back to college football. Dave Doeren met with the media yesterday, and I thought there were two interesting answers. Let's start with his answer about where the wide receivers and the offense is going right now. James Henderson, our friend from Inside Pack Sports, I guess followed up on that Law of the Wolf conversation you had heading into the NIU game about like, all right, you made an effort to go and get wide receivers. You made an effort to be better on offense. How would you assess where things are at 5 weeks into the season?
You're getting from those guys.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to evaluate our pass game. It hasn't been what I was hoping for. I think part of that is what's transpired having a freshman quarterback and not blaming CJ at all. I think CJ is getting better. But you can't put the entire system on a freshman either, and so you are a little bit more restricted in his first start at Clemson and what you're going to ask from him. And then last week, like I said, we played a really good defense. And so those guys did some good things that made it hard with their pass rush. We had some guys open. He couldn't get the ball to them. And there were some throws that he could have made that would have been better. He did some good things too. But I think that's a work in progress right now. It needs to get better. We need to find more ways to spread the ball around and let those kids make plays for us. I'm really impressed with the outside receiving corps blocking. I think that's an area that we've never been this good in. And that's going to help them in the pass game. And so that's an area of our team in general and it's not the kids' fault. Like we just need to play better collectively so that we can get those guys the ball more.
So that was Dave's answer related to where things are with CJ Bailey. But at the beginning of the press conference, Andrea Adelson of ESPN had asked for an update on Grayson McCall. And I thought his answer was interesting.
His status for this weekend.
Yeah, I'm not going to discuss it.
Okay.
So when he's ready to play, he'll be out there, and that's where we're at.
Now, Joe, I want you to run that through the Dave Doeren translator. When he'll be out there when he's ready to go, what exactly does that mean? If he's ready to go, is he going to assume the starting role again, or does that mean he'll be out there and available if needed? I was a little thrown off by what he meant in that answer.
I think when it comes to quarterback matters, after everything that NC State went through last year with MJ Morris. I think Dave believes in an economy of words, right? So the less he has to talk about something, the better off he feels that is for not only himself, but the player who's involved.
Okay, that's fair.
So I think that's merely all this is. They have not made any public comments about Grayson beyond it's not a season-ending, career-ending injury. They have not gone into any kind of detail about what his availability will be, what his particular mindset is going forward, and that is their prerogative. The league doesn't make them file any kind of injury information, so it is what it is. But I wouldn't read into I wouldn't read too much into oh, he's going to be our starter, he's this or he's that, or there's trouble afoot. I would look into it more of he was Dave was successful last year with his messaging with MJ Morris by saying less.
Yeah.
So I think that's basically what he's trying to do here.
Look, going forward, and at some point, Grayson McCall is going to be in a position where he was available.
You would think,
but I feel very strongly about this going forward for NC State. It would be a mistake to go back to Grayson McCall. I think it would be a mistake in the era of college football that we're in, and given the data that we have with NC State and how the quarterback situation is played out. It seems as though the lesson learned is you should invest into the talent you recruited, keep them, and go forward. Because this is now twice where you've brought in an outside QB and it hasn't panned out for a variety of reasons. Okay. Now, Brennan Armstrong came through and manned up last year to help save their season. I get that. But the start was shaky. And the start for Grayson McCall this year, when healthy, was shaky. And given what we've seen from Grayson McCall in game action, I think it's in NC State's best interest to continue to give CJ Bailey the confidence to run the offense that they thought they were going to have. But then again, there's also we have to be honest about NC State and the offense. This is the offense. It's what it is at this point. And they can bring in all the playmakers they want. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be in a track meet with games. Trading paint, as you like to say.
I wonder if this isn't if you're someone who's followed wrestling for a long time. Vince McMahon, the problematic Vince McMahon.
I got to watch that Netflix.
Was famous for saying, never say never.
Fair.
I.e., you could fire somebody, but they're almost always going to come back.
That's fair.
I wonder if in the back of Dave's head, but you mentioned about Brennan Armstrong from last year. I wonder if in the back of Dave's head, again, you have this economy of an explanation because that's the easiest way out. And second of all, he's probably looking at it going, I'm not saying anything about Grayson because there's at least a 50% chance that something does happen to CJ.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, now I got to untangle whatever I said about Grayson's availability and whatever's going on with him. So again, the best strategy is to say that as little as possible. And then knowing in the back of your head, if we have to go back to Grayson, you haven't buried him. You haven't said anything that's going to come back and bite you in the end.
I agree with you on that one. If that's the play, totally on board with that. Totally on board with that. So that's what's going on with NC State. Elsewhere in college football.
NC State's got Wake Forest this week, by the way.
Yeah.
Back in the day, their nemesis. This is the one game on the schedule right now that I am actually confident NC State's going to win. This is the one game on the rest of the season that if you said rank the games that I think NC State will win, this would be the one that I am most confident that they will win. Poor Wake Forest, man.
I know they've been going through it. What are they, 1-4 right now?
Certainly, I said the same thing in 2018 when they had 20 starters missing going into the Jamie Newman game.
They had that work.
The Thursday night game where they're a triple digit, triple 3-touchdown underdog. But I don't know what's going on down there at Winston-Salem, but they can't even beat bad teams now. And it's I how I feel about Dave Clawson, but obviously something is amiss down there.
So of NC State's remaining schedule, they got Wake Forest at home this week. They got Syracuse next week. I can see why you're not necessarily confident about Syracuse with Cal.
Syracuse is a night game, which you're probably going to get State Super Bowl in that game.
I'm chalking up California going out to Cal as a loss for NC State.
Doesn't look great.
Cal looks like to be a one possession kind of team that you don't want to find yourself in, and they might get you. And it's going to be a sleepy game on the road.
Late night. Yeah,
could be. I mean, I don't know, man. You don't know how those woke folks get down.
Don't think there'll be a blood moon out in Berkeley.
Probably not. Then they got their Pac-12 double with Stanford coming to town.
They should beat Stanford. You're right. Maybe Stanford, but
and then you got Duke, you got Georgia Tech, at Georgia Tech, and you got at North Carolina. That trio of games, the end of the season, will determine how people ultimately view Dave Doeren going the rest of the way. Duke, Georgia Tech, North Carolina.
Wake's 1-3 with a win over North Carolina A&T in a game that they struggled. I know the final score was 45-13.
Yeah.
But they struggled in that football game. They've lost to Virginia by a point, 34 to Ole Miss, a quadruple embarrassment game. And then you had Louisiana come to Wake Forest and beat them by 3 points. Louisiana's 3-1, fair enough. But
yeah,
I mean, Wake's down bad, man. Like, baseball season needs to hurry up and get here.
So last night I'm watching the Dolphins and the Titans, and I'm catching up on stuff that I might have missed because yesterday we were running all over the place. And I'm catching up and I see a Heather Dinich story on ESPN. Sources, Big Ten, SEC to talk possible scheduling partnership. And in the meat of the story, it reads like this. The future scheduling partnership could hinge on whether the SEC eventually decides to go to 9 conference games. A topic one SEC source said hasn't been a focus of conversations lately. Some Big Ten athletic directors could push back on any agreement if the SEC doesn't move to 9 games because the Big Ten already plays 9 league opponents. She continues, sources in both leagues told ESPN on Monday they would prefer to have potentially 4 automatic bids each to the playoff when the next contract begins in 2026. College football playoff leaders haven't determined yet what the playoff will look like beyond this season and next. Some said they need to know that before making any decisions about future scheduling partnerships. This ties back into a Ross Dellinger story back in February. Yahoo had the story again. This was back on February 28th. Sources, CFP circulating new 14-team model to include 13 automatic spots for the Big Ten and the SEC, 2 for the ACC and the Big 12. Basically 3-3-2-2-1. Obviously, Dinich is floating out the possibility of a 4-4-2-2-1 to get that extra Big Ten and SEC team in there. My initial take on all this, I know you're already shaking your head. My initial take on all of this is very, very simple. These dates matter. 2026, 2029, 2030, like we talked about with John Wilner in relation to the Pac-12 and expansion and the television deals and everything else. The last bargaining chip the SEC has is not adding another brand or 2. The last bargaining chip they have with their television partner is, and what ESPN wants, is a 9th conference game. That's what they want. So the SEC wants to make damn sure that if they're going to go to 9, they're going to be handsomely paid for it. Then there's another matter that goes beyond the college football playoff and the 4-4-2 or the 3-3-2-2-1, right? How all the numbers. I feel like I'm watching an episode of Lost. What were the numbers that were related to the hatch? Anyway, if you have a Big Ten SEC scheduling partnership, who broadcasts the games?
I would assume the home team.
These are marquee matchups that will also sweeten the television deals. I can envision a scenario like between Fox and Disney, what we already see with the NFL with Fox, CBS, and NBC. Could be that they open up the negotiation rights to these marquee Big Ten SEC matchups, go to a third party. It goes to Peacock.
Interesting.
Because you got to remember the tech companies, there was a story by Alex Sherman in CNBC that was related to 2029 being this freak out moment for the broadcasters. Because the tech companies that want to bolster their streaming options, or companies like Comcast who want to bolster Peacock, or Amazon, they want to bolster exclusive football games, they're going to come in with big money, man. More money than the broadcasters can afford with a shriveling advertising market taking place over the next couple of years. And one thing that I always like to say about TV, hey man, I don't know what's going to look like in 5 years. Like, I don't know what we're going to be doing in 5 years because I don't know what the technology is going to look like in 5 years. If you go back 5 years,
we're going to get a ham radio
maybe
set up in 5 years.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Free is always free, right?
Yeah.
But if you go back 5 years,
nothing's free.
All these streaming services didn't exist. And now they're players. So I don't know what's going to look like in the next 5 years, right? So if I'm the SEC,
yeah, but that makes them seem like there's some sort of plucky startup.
No. That's not what I'm getting at. It's that somewhere as these companies look for more revenue streams, they're going to go, I know what we're going to do. We're going to do another streaming service. Well, we need programming on that streaming service. I know. Let's take all of our iPhone sales and dump all that money on the SEC.
We're a radio station. You know what we really need to do? We need to have those live Twitter things.
Yes. Right. You know, there's some galaxy brain suit that's gonna be like, I know what's gonna solve our problems.
We're a television network. You know what we really need?
This is what we need. Yeah, man. Never underestimate the hubris of management, man. And just throwing bad money after bad money. Okay. Anyway.
If I was in charge of the clips, I'd clip that one.
I'm not. Anyway, although you can send it to Dane. You can give him the timestamp. Let him do that one. Anyway, the point being, the SEC and the Big Ten are playing a different game than the rest of the conferences in college football. And they're headed towards, this whole business of like football only and your own little fun divisions, that think tank we talked about with Bubba Cunningham. F all that. We're going to run this thing. We're going to run it. And we're going to run the college football playoff with the way that we want to do it. And the only way to do it is to keep making more money than everybody else. And they're going to come up with TV inventory that they would want. And that's where the scheduling partnership comes into play.
I absolutely have no problem with the guaranteed slots for the conference champions. I think you need that in order to have the access across the board.
I agree.
4 per conference. Look, there might be years. This is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a 12-team format. I would absolutely right now predict that 4 SEC teams make the playoff, particularly with Alabama just winning the football game that they did. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Alabama, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee right now, like, can you envision a scenario where they're not in the playoff? Well, but those spots aren't guaranteed. You just earned your way in. And I know everyone is trying to come up with a new idea, but the NCAA tournament in men's basketball, women's basketball works because you're giving access there. And even if Texas, Alabama, Georgia play the number 5 team and blow them, 12 team and blow them out, you still have the possibility of Princeton, UCLA. You still have the possibility of UMBC in Virginia, even if it only happens, by the way, in basketball once.
Yeah.
Right. And now Purdue losing to LIU, Brooklyn. So, or FDU. So you look at all these different things and it's like, man, why are you trying to take all the fun out of it? You're going to have those spots anyway.
What about Mike's Live gives you the thought that, I'm sorry, Greg Sankey. Wow.
Oh, they're the same person.
I mean, he's a protege, right? It's like Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader. What makes you think that Greg Sankey knows anything about fun? The dude is not a fun guy.
Oh, sure. Yeah, he is the guy I never forget who got mad when Notre Dame and Clemson got in during the pandemic, because technically it was 2 ACC teams in a 14 field, and only the SEC had done that before. And man, he was not happy.
Livid about those things. Livid about those things. Anyway, just something to keep an eye on in relation to where things are with the Big Ten and the SEC and television money. They're playing a different. They're playing 4D chess right now. The ACC is just hoping to hold on. We'll see where it goes from there. I was actually looking at the college football futures now that we have more data on the season, and I'm on DraftKings right now. You can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and get in on this college fun, because the uncertainty of college as well. Nobody would have thought Alabama was going to have that kind of game against Georgia this past weekend, right? Right?
Well, everyone on the game day crew did pick Alabama, but that's, now you're just picking at me. So, okay.
Well, maybe they were just picking at Nick Saban. They're like, in order for Alabama to surpass Kirby Smart, they had to move on from Nick Saban. Maybe that's what was going on.
That's some 4D chess I wasn't thinking of. Miss Terry was there too.
I know. Miss Terry's always going to steal the show, man. So I was looking at the updated futures. Ohio State is now plus 320 to win the college football playoff. Alabama has moved up to plus 350. Georgia is now plus 650, which I think is interesting.
That's value.
Right?
God, they look terrible though in the first however many minutes of that.
I have exactly $2.50 right now.
Taking that 650.
I'm going to take that 650 right now. And that would pay out $18.75.
Do you know why that's bumped the way that it has?
Why is that?
Their schedule is like, I want to give Chip Patterson full credit here.
Yeah.
Because he was on after that Clemson game and he was like, no, Georgia's going to go 10-2. And I'm like,
that's right. He did.
What? What are you talking about?
Yeah, he did.
I could see very much it happening now that they could lose another game because they still have to play Tennessee and Texas. Like, their schedule is hard.
Yeah.
And I was dismissive of that. But Chip, Cover 3 podcast, was right.
He was definitely right. So here's what you can do. You can take that information from Chip Patterson. You can just put $2.50 down, because why the hell not? You have options at DraftKings, ladies and gentlemen. So here's what you do, especially for the newbies out there getting into the college spirit now that we're in the thick of things. All you got to do is bet $5 as a new customer, and you will get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So score big with DraftKings all college football season long. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the promo code OG24. Again, that's OG24. New customers will get $200 in bonus bets when they bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
Speaking of college, by all means, head on over to Homefield right now. Homefieldapparel.com. Use that promo code OG24. We keep it simple for you. If you can't remember what the promo code is, just go, okay, it's OG and the digits of the year. Oh, that's right, OG24. We keep it super simple. So go to homefieldapparel.com right now. Use that promo code OG24 to save 15% off your order. And our guy Josh at Homefield's coming through for the golf tournament.
He really is. His generosity knows no bounds. Our winners are going to have an incredible gift package of your choice from Homefield Apparel. So do us a favor. Check them out. Homefield Apparel. Go get the app. Another one of these people who have that app game on lock.
Oh, they got rewards.
All
man.
kinds of rewards and savings they can get. And again, if you use that promo code, save 15% on your first order. The jackets are unbelievable. All those hoodies on there I own, except App State. I need to get that App State one. So Wolfpack in the house there, and my Deeks. So I just badmouth, but basketball's almost here.
Big thanks to Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority. Contact them. Bugsbite.com makes it super easy to bundle and save. Mosquito Authority for the outside of your house. Look, man, the rain has been just absolutely brutal around here, and it's just creating more critters and everything else. Mosquito Authority can help you take care of that. Mosquito Authority is going to help me out ahead of the golf tournament, right, Joe?
Yeah. Hayes and his crew, they're just smart, and they want to help you. So they don't believe in contracts either, but they do believe in saving you money. So go to bugsbite.com.
Bundle and save. Two sports legends passed away this week so far. Yeah, it was yesterday. It was all within 24 hours. Find out earlier in the day that Dikembe Mutombo, basketball great, passed away. I think it was, what, 58? I think is what the age was. And Pete Rose in his 80s, he passed away as well. Memories for these two guys vary depending on your age and your affinity for various sports. I think when it comes to Dikembe Mutombo, I can understand Mutombo was an all-timer, had a great sense of humor, the finger wag and everything else. But the first thought I had when I found out that Dikembe Mutombo passed away was going all the way back to the days when I was a board op for the Jim Rome show at 850 The Buzz. Jim Rome would take a bunch of phone calls. Like, the Jim Rome show is one of those early, like, you have to know the lore of the Jim Rome show to truly appreciate it. And Jim always talked about when he went into a new market, he would say, look, remember that first time you had beer? He always used this line. It was great. It's like, remember that first time you had beer? High school, college, whenever it was? You hated it, didn't you? But give it 2 weeks. Then you learn to love beer. Can't get enough of it, right? That's our show. You're not going to like it the first time you hear it. You're like, who are the clones? What's with the smack off? Why are you giving yourself a tongue? Rack that? Like, what are you talking about? 2 weeks later, you're like, rack that take, right? So
it's not Ryan, it's Ryan.
So there is a website that is devoted to archiving Jim Rome bits.
Oh no!
Yes.
What'd you find?
The Stuck Nut. It's an old message board. So they got the old smack offs and all that kind of stuff. So they got trending takes, right? It's like what are people playing? And sure enough, Dan in DC, who wants to sex Mutombo? This is the first time I ever heard the story. Dying laughing, running the Rome show back in the day. And here's the call.
Mike in Wichita had sent this. the Mike in Wichita, and I had failed to read the war. So let me double back. Mike in Wichita had sent the Bill Cowher coaching tree email. War, a reset of who wants to sex Mutombo for us old schoolers.
Who wants to sex Mutombo?
The reset is Dan from D.C. was in a club one night in the district and said that Dikembe Mutombo, I can neither confirm nor deny, this is just a story that Dan from D.C. said on the air. He was in a club and Dikembe Mutombo came in and said,
Who wants to sex Mutombo?
I've heard a lot of good pickup lines, but none better than that.
so Bomani Jones, our friend Bomani Jones, was doing highly questionable with Dan Le Batard. And they had Mutombo on like 10 years ago. And obviously this story is legend, and Dan Le Batard has a history of pushing questions. And Bomani unearthed this clip, and it's worth it.
Heard an urban legend, and you can confirm it for us now. You know what I'm going to ask him, right? Is it true that Dikembe Mutombo used to walk in his heyday, in the glory days of his life, used to walk into a nightclub? You know what I'm going to ask, too. Used to walk into a place and say,
Don't believe on that crack. I know where you're going with that. I know where you're going.
Keep going.
Let me tell you, let me give you something. Let me give you something. That way you know where I'm going. No. I know where you're going. I always say, who came out with that crap?
That's not
always
true.
Ask everybody who came out with that crap.
Oh, it's so
First of all,
disappointing.
I did have a beautiful girlfriend back in the day, and I really did enjoy myself in college. But you know what? It's tough that when you get to the top, there's always somebody trying to come up with some funny thing. Or maybe you took all of the girls away from him when he was in college, or you did get all the attention when you was walking in a club, you didn't get. You know, those things you hear that from the guys, man. You know how many times guys have come to me in the club, they say, oh man, we don't like when you guys come to the club because there's no women looking at us.
But if you did walk in the club and say, who wants to sex Mutombo, it would be kind of cool,
It'd be a great story.
No. It's a great story, but
That's unfortunate.
My goodness. That's, and again, Mutombo, these clips I play, there was a commercial, the finger wag, all that stuff. I mean, these are the reasons why you fall in love with sports, man. It's like these literally bigger than life characters. Both physically, metaphorically. Mutombo was one of those guys. And he's part of what makes sports great, man. Absolutely what makes sports great. On the flip side of that, there's a little bit more complicated conversation to have about Pete Rose. Look, we all recognize him as the all-time hits leader, but you also understand that, yeah, man, he bet on the game, and he refused to admit it until he realized he could make money off of it with a book. So that's where we are with Pete Rose. I don't know if you have a Mutombo story or a Pete Rose story, but with Rose, it's finding out he passed away. It's like, yeah, look, man, that stinks, but he is one of the more controversial figures in sports history because of what had happened with Major League Baseball.
Now, with Pete Rose, obviously, you're talking about someone who achieved something over the course of his career.
Yes.
That, I mean, and particularly the way that people are going now, that this is one of those records that's not going to be broken.
Oh, he belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Okay. So interesting, as some people have already quickly pointed out and noted, and the person who suspended Pete Rose from baseball, his name was A. Bartlett Giamatti. Bart Giamatti. Bart Giamatti was the complete opposite of the buffoon who had followed him. The Bud, whatever his name
Bud
is,
Selig.
the car salesman, the used car salesman.
Yes.
Bart Giamatti was a true erudite. Okay. No, as noted, almost immediately with the news of Pete Rose's death yesterday, his suspension was a lifetime ban. I predict, as many people already are, Pete Rose will posthumously be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame by the Veterans Committee.
Yep.
His plaque will read, he was banned from baseball and was inducted posthumously in 2026.
25. We'll go 25.
Okay. That's the way the suspension was set up. The specific punishment to Pete was not only because remember at the time, we have a different view of gambling now than we did in 1992 or 3, whenever this happened. We have a different view of gambling now. But getting back to the rules, it specifically says in every clubhouse you go to, you can't do this. Again, I won't do that. Again, there are specific rules, and this is one of those specific rules. Then he just lied straight up. And it was a whole farce, okay? That he was trying to manipulate the public, playing in on the legend of Charlie Hustle. Okay. So the specific punishment here was for not only the miscooperation, but just the straight up lying and not owning it. Now that our attitudes have changed about gambling, again, I do believe you'll see exactly what Bart Giamatti probably had sent this out to be, which was he cannot get in while he's still alive.
Here's the thing about, I agree with you that sentiments have changed and they should change. But there's one thing in all of this that doesn't change. You cannot call into question the integrity of the game.
Right.
And that's where betting on the game, I only bet for us or whatever. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. You cannot bet on the game. That's why I have zero sympathy for suspensions that we've seen in the NFL, suspensions we might see in the NHL, the NBA, whatever. If you want to gamble, you can wait until you're done playing. And then you can go back. Then you can do whatever you want, man. But when you're actually playing, there's a lot of money at stake. You cannot call into question that what we're watching is real or not real or rigged. So I have no sympathy in that particular case. The other thing I would say about the Hall of Fame, to wrap the point on this, because it is the lightning round. 2 things can be true. You can be banned from baseball, which means you can't be in a clubhouse, you can't manage, you can't be on a broadcast, all that kind of stuff. That is separate from being in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame used baseball's lifetime ban as a cop-out to deal with what actually was going on with Pete Rose. They could have put him in the Hall of Fame. They could have put all that stuff that you said on the plaque immediately, because the Baseball Hall of Fame is a museum, but they treat it as some sort of church. It's not that, okay? So he should have been in the Hall of Fame to begin with, to highlight all the things that you just laid out of him as a baseball player while telling the whole story, because that's the point of a museum. You tell the whole damn story. I don't know why this is complicated for Major League Baseball and the Baseball Hall of Fame.
There are many topics for lightning round today on OMG.
Brian coming through with some new. I like it. All right, speaking of baseball, this is just how out of it I am with baseball. I thought, I'm being completely honest with you, the one thing that has absolutely happened since I've been out of radio is that my level of baseball awareness has cratered. Like, I have zero idea what's going on in baseball other than maybe Shohei Ohtani, right? So yesterday, I thought the Mets and the Braves were in that weird one-off to get into the playoffs.
Gotcha.
I forgot, oh no, these games were postponed because of the hurricane. So they had a doubleheader. And both teams needed a win to make the playoffs. And lo and behold, in a pretty wild fashion in the doubleheader, they both won games. And they're now both in the playoffs. And everything is set, and it starts today.
Poor Diamondbacks.
They're like the Hurricanes in this situation. If we just get this, then we'll be fine. So anyway, champagne was flowing in both the Braves and the Mets locker rooms to make the playoffs.
I just hope both teams have fun.
Yeah.
They did yesterday.
And they absolutely did. They absolutely did. And I guess the question that I have is, are the Yankees actually going to do the damn thing? No? So you got the two, you got Juan Soto and you got Aaron Judge and you got a bullpen that my understanding is okay right now.
No.
As opposed to the Dodgers who have Shohei Ohtani, but an injured bullpen. So we're going to have the Yankees and the Dodgers are going to flame out, right? Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah, this is baseball. I'm going to go with my son James's prediction here.
Okay.
That just like the Florida Panthers lost in the Stanley Cup final, came back, won the next year. Boston Celtics lost in the NBA finals, came back, won the next year. I think the Philadelphia Phillies, after having really the best team in baseball last year, will come back and win the World Series. And I have them on my official DraftKings ticket beating the Guardians. Cleveland has the best bullpen. They have a weird offense. Their starters aren't all that great.
Yeah.
But their bullpen is the best in baseball.
OMG, the topics flow with ease, laughing
That's a good one. That is amazing.
I appreciated Brian going full Julian Casablanca. It's like, wait, what's your marble mouth saying there at the end of that song? I like the Strokes, but that's a thing nor there. So let's get back to college football. We have memes on memes on memes, Joe.
Let's go.
Look, College Game Day is going to be going to Cal for the first time ever with Miami coming to town. I believe that game kicks off at 10:30 Eastern time. Y'all, Miami's losing this game.
Please don't make Lee Corso go out there for this one, please.
Oh, geez. So the memes, Cal has been ridiculous on the memes. So if you grew up in my age, when Miami and Notre Dame would play, it was Catholics versus convicts. This made me very conflicted as a kid who went to Catholic school who pulled for Miami. All right. But now we got Cal Miami, and Cal is very online and very woke, as they like to joke with. So now we have communists versus convicts. The hammer and sickle, if you're watching on YouTube, with the Cal Bears and the convicts with Miami. But there's an even better one, Joe. And this is what we're officially going to call it. Coke versus woke. Hate week is here. Miami fans have made this awkward by being so damn cool. This is from one of the Cal fans. Thanks a lot for ruining Hate Week, Miami. I'm sure hosting you this weekend will be fun and delightful. And the image is the Oski with a tie-dye shirt that says woke and an AI-generated Sebastian the Ibis with a basketball jersey that says Coke while holding a baggie of Coke. So I do really appreciate the fact that we have Coke versus woke. And one other meme, I spent a lot of time on Reddit last night, Joe.
Nice.
I sent this to you. I thought this was appropriate. Florida State with the very triggered guy, tears, glasses. No, we don't get enough money like the SEC and Big Ten, and adding bottom feeders like SMU is making the league worse, and I regret signing a binding contract that just means more. And ... And of course, the Chad, who needs TV money, LMAO. The meme makes a point, Joe. The meme makes a point.
There are now, with Cal getting to host game day, there are now only 5 schools that have not hosted game day. 2 are currently in the ACC. 1 used to be in the ACC. That's obviously Maryland.
Maryland, yeah.
Can you name the 2 in the ACC who have not hosted game day?
Georgia Tech?
Nope.
Oh.
Given their connections to the worldwide leader, it is kind of sort of amazing.
Wait, Syracuse has never done that?
Syracuse has never hosted game day.
That shocks me because there have been, in the history of game day, game day has been on for a long ass time.
I know.
And really?
Yes.
Huh.
In Virginia, ye old Dominion, Thomas Jefferson School.
Gotcha.
They're clearly Hamilton fans up there.
Okay.
Clearly.
Okay. Big thanks to O2 Fitness. Go to o2fitnessclubs.com. But folks, it is more than a gym.
O2 Fitness, so much more than a gym.
What, you going in for work today?
Yesterday.
How'd that go for you?
It's
over
good.
at Renew.
It's good. Little dry needling always helps. My towel exercises, I don't have to do them for you one day. You're going to look at me and be like, not sure what you're doing, but it's all part of my physical fitness.
When do you do the cupping?
No cupping yet. Hasn't been part of it yet.
When I'm going to go to O2 Fitness later today because I got to get a sweat in. And they had a video about Renew that was playing about what you can do. And I saw footage of dry needling. But then they switched over to cupping. And that's
when you were like,
what is this?
Hey.
I'm intrigued by this. Anyway, not to be confused with cuddling. It's cupping.
Different.
Totally different thing. So head on over to o2fitnessclubs.com. As I mentioned, it is more than a gym. Even though the gym's really, really good, Renew can help out Joe's neck. You also have Loop Nutrition, which helps you with meal plans to get to where you want to be. Speaking of Loop Nutrition, I actually saw the QR code over at our friends Happy and Hale. Check them out.
Take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hale.
Download the app, make it super, super convenient for you to order what you want, pick it up when you want, and then go about your business. That's the beauty and the convenience of Happy and Hale. And more importantly, what you're eating is good, whole foods, nothing processed or any of that stuff. That beef is top notch. The chicken is top notch. The greens are always fresh, and it's filling, which is most important. So head on over to Happy and Hail and download the app today. Also, big thanks to our corporate champion, Matt Davis, over at State Farm. Check him out online at insuregarner.com or theoginsurance.com, or you can call him directly at 919-779-8277.
I was going to say, we've got one live event on the books for October.
Okay.
Halloween. We're going to Aversboro Road, and we are going to Matt Davis's spot.
Do we get to wear red State Farm polos?
I will put the request in. You can ask him. He's playing with me in the OG Golf Classic, so you can ask him on Friday.
That's gonna be exciting.
Yeah,
I want.
Seeing as how I've never seen you in a golf shirt, I don't know why you would want one. But
what do you mean?
I don't think I've ever seen you wear a golf shirt.
No, no. The only time I've ever worn a golf shirt has been at one of those, like the PGA Championship.
Oh, I thought you were about to say the NC State Legends. I'm like, no,
I have worn one.
No, you had a sweatshirt last year. You didn't even wear a golf shirt at the golf.
I had
tournament.
I had the Lonnie,
and you
pool.
won.
I know. I had the Lonnie pool.
Weasel.
Are we doing that again? I think we're doing. I gotta test chip back. By the way,
we are.
When is that?
I'm not telling. You get to win last year.
My handicap is valuable. Just saying. Shout out to my guys at the Easy Go.
Yeah. Yes.
They also help too. Now that's a job for you, man. Selling golf carts.
Oh man.
All you get to do is golf and make sure things are taken care of.
Is it working? Oh, well, we'll come out. We'll just make sure.
You know what? Let's test drive this new cart. Let's make sure we got make sure we got that. Anyway,
we gotta take care of you. No.
We got super distracted Joe today. Oh, is that Svechnikov with a puppy? Yeah, that's Svech with a puppy. That's very nice. That was very nice.
I live for the.
I know you like switching up the calendar, and every time you try to put the the thumbtack back into the drywall, it just messes it up. But that's neither here nor there. So anyway, check out Matt Davis. Give him a call 919-779-8277. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline is somebody who lives that positive vibes only life. He is Michael Felder in the bleachers on Twitter. Michael, what's going on, man?
I mean, my wife would fight you on that every day.
I don't know what you're talking about. Every time I see you, you're having a good time. I mean, Sports Podcast Festival, you're shirtless most of the time. It was fantastic.
Yeah, we had a good time at Sports Podcast Fest, and yeah, we had a great time. But my wife is like, you complain all day, you talk to yourself, all you do is complain, you get upset about, and I'm like, that's so I don't have to I don't take it out on other people. Get positive me.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
I keep seeing all these like people on Instagram. They're talking about like positive self-talk, and I'm like, no, I don't need positive self-talk. I need negative self-talk.
You and I are the same. It's like, because like in my mind, I'm like, nah, this sucks, blah blah blah. But the microphone's on. I'm around people. Are like, all right, we're on. Let's go.
Good. Let's go.
Vibes only, baby.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, speaking of negative Nancy's, Giglio's a negative Nancy when it comes to Clemson. I have been.
Really?
Yes. Now you can tell me I'm completely off my rocker when it comes to this, but as the season has gone on and we get further away from the Georgia game,
yep,
I feel like Clemson has found something offensively with Cade Klubnik. Not that they're, I'm not saying they're like this elite program, but clearly Georgia is beatable, as we saw with the Alabama game.
Yeah.
They were tested by Kentucky. I don't think that's necessarily something about Kentucky. I think Georgia just got tested in that game. And Joe likes to say that Clemson is the Carolina basketball of ACC football. They're going to win the league. And as good as Miami might be, I don't trust their offensive line with Cam Ward, as we saw on Friday night. Sure. And I think Clemson's going to pan out being the league champ at this rate. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy on this thought.
I don't think I want to hear he's taking a big swig, huh? So I am like, what does that mean? Like they're going to, if they win the league, they have a chance to win a national championship.
No, you don't believe that.
I didn't say they will. I said they have a chance.
They put themselves in position, Joe.
Yeah.
That's all you can ask.
No, like Carolina basketball last year, they were feeling good during the regular season for all kinds of reasons, which I understand. But remember, they played UConn and it was like, oh yeah, there's another level out there. And Clemson football is Carolina basketball. They're good enough to win the ACC and beat the other teams in the ACC and feel good about themselves. But when it comes time to play somebody at a national level, they're going to find out very quickly, oh, there's another level out there.
Hang on, I'm just counting. You made me mess up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So 21 Final Fours.
Yeah.
That's the problem for you is 21 Final Fours, but not enough.
Carolina basketball.
Only having 6 national championships. That's the problem.
Carolina basketball last year.
I don't know. I don't watch.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, no, this isn't like
I watch.
Just like Clemson is not a vintage Clemson team with 2 national titles under Dabo Swinney. It's just like Carolina last year, where you go and you're like, oh no, you feel good about it because you have that brand and you have that history and you feel good about yourself. Yeah. But the truth of the matter is, you're lying to yourself because
there is another level.
Play somebody, they do not have the skill players to beat a real team.
I think Antonio Williams is very good. I love Maffa. I think that Maffa is a guy that I think he has to figure out what he wants to be as a runner. To be fair, like as a running back, he's got to figure out who he is. And he's still trying to figure that out because he had to work underneath Shipley for so long. And that's what they were designed for. What they really need to use him for is to just let this guy run, hit a hole and go. But that's also an offensive line problem that they have, where they are transitioning from this kind of shield blocking, we're not moving people. They're starting to move bodies, which is what I like about Clemson this year. They're starting to move bodies because they have a running back that all he wants to do is get downhill. And if they can marry that, I think they do become a problem. Antonio Williams, as I mentioned before, I think Briningstool has been a bit of a revelation for them as a guy who, hey, you know what? He's not the best blocker, but he reminds me of he's like, you know what he is? Like if Evan Ingram coming out of college, not Evan Ingram in the NFL, Evan Ingram coming out of college was like Whole Foods. This guy is like, he's like what you go to like, I don't want to be super disrespectful, but like he's like Winn-Dixie that. I didn't say Dollar General. I didn't say Family Dollar. I said Winn-Dixie.
Hey man, you put some respect on Czech soda, okay?
Bro, Czech soda, that's a whole summer for me, man. My grandparents used to buy every flavor and just put it in the storage room, and we would just sneak. We had so much soda when I was a kid, and I never got a cavity. So how about that?
Hey, look at that. Let's workshop this out though a little bit because I feel like you're both being dismissive. If Clemson wins the ACC, okay, then they'll likely, almost certainly, they'll be the number 4 seed as the.
No, they'll be 3.
Who will be 4? The Big 12.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm with Felder on this one. The Big 12's been pretty wild right now. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Don't worry, guys. I already I have to do this every week, and I have it written down. My whole thing. Part of my day-to-day is figuring out a template, so I don't have to always look up the way that this all sets up.
Right. So you got Clemson. If they win the league, so you got Clemson 3.
Fine. Clemson's 3, which means they'll almost certainly play the number 6 team in their first game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So the number 6 team, based on this bracket and how it sets up, is either going to be the 3rd place SEC team or the 2nd place Big Ten team.
Yes. I think.
Do you think? Show me the 3rd place SEC team and 2nd place Big Ten team that Clemson's going to beat.
Well, man, it could be a rematch against Georgia.
Right.
Could be.
Okay. Done.
Because Texas is
very good. Could be
Texas,
Alabama.
It could be Alabama. I don't think it will be.
Yeah.
I think
if you said Penn State, I would say okay. I could see them beating Penn State.
Exactly.
Sure.
If it's Penn State, they can beat Penn State.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Oregon, I think they can beat Oregon.
Yeah, I don't. Do you think Oregon's going to get there?
I think Oregon will be in the playoff.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Given the choice between Miami and Clemson, would Miami have a better opportunity or a better chance against an Alabama or a Georgia? Or is it just anybody that comes out of the ACC is not even going to stand a chance as a team against the 6th seed that comes out of the SEC?
We keep saying Alabama or a Georgia. Why are we not talking about Texas?
Well, won't Texas? I mean, who do you have winning the SEC?
Yeah, I guess that's the question.
I think Alabama's going to win the SEC.
Okay.
Which means Texas, and I'll say this. So like last night, I was doing my notes last night before I went to bed because I just wanted to make sure I was prepared for everything. And I'm basing it on what we have right now. And my wife was like, "What are you doing? Why are you in the notebook right now? Like we're trying to watch a movie." And I was like, "I just want to make sure I have this based on today."
Mm-hmm.
And I think Alabama is going to win the SEC. I think 2 weeks ago I said that Tennessee and Alabama are the most dangerous teams in the country.
Okay.
They have proven that. Alabama is scary how good they are. They're the strongest team in America. They will move you around. They moved around Georgia. And when they had to, they were also quick snap, no problem. I hate that they took their foot off the pedal. They should have just destroyed them, but they didn't, which I think that's maybe a level of respect. I don't know what it is, but anyways. But the thing for me is, so if we look at it right now, number 1 would be Bama. Number 2 would be Ohio State. 3 would be Miami. 4 would be Iowa State. And so I'm talking to my wife, right? And she's like, well, how could Iowa State be number 4 if they're number 16 right now?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the way it works.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at what's left and Texas, I think Texas, I'm not calling them like the Joe Burrow level LSU, but they are a team that walks around and does like get the get. Like they do that. Like watching, and Arch is good. If I'm Quinn, I'm like, hey man.
So I had jotted that down because that's the curiosity that I have with Tennessee and Texas, right? Tennessee is a known quantity right now because of Nico. Texas seems like, and getting back to the start of the conversation with Clemson, yeah, you're good with this one guy, and you're a contender with this one guy, but we have this other guy that might unlock another level when it gets to the real deal of the playoff. And I feel like Arch Manning is showing you, oh damn, this guy's like legit. Yeah. Like it's as advertised with Arch Manning, and he plays in a way that you've never seen a Manning play before too, which is another mind, it screws with your mind a little bit because you think you know what a Manning is. Man, this is Manning 2.0 what we're seeing right now.
Right. It feels like they like I fully believe it. Like as a family, they've like pushed like, hey man, you're gonna have to be able to move.
Yeah.
It's not just these like hezzy moves and this. You're gonna have to be able to move. And so Arch is good. Like I'll give him credit. He is very good. His throws are like he drops dimes nonstop. He puts things where they need to be. So I love that about him. But the thing is they could lose to Alabama by 1 point in the SEC. Both of these teams could go undefeated, lose to Alabama by 1 point. They drop down to 5. Iowa State moves up to 4. And then we're looking at, right as of today, Tennessee at 6. And obviously this stuff is all going to shake itself out because they're all going to play each other. Tennessee at 6. At 7, you're looking at Georgia at 7. And we're looking at Georgia playing Mizzou, who would be 10. And we got Michigan at 11. I don't think that's going to stick. Penn State and Oregon at 9 and 8. That's going to take care of itself. And then, of course, we have to make sure. Right now, what are they at? 21. Boise State goes to 12.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to take like listeners, viewers through this. Like my wife was like sitting here listening to me, and she was just like, "So wait a second, they all agreed to this?"
Well, as Joe and I talked about earlier, it's about to get even dumber if the SEC and the Big Ten get their way with this 3-3.
No, 4-4,
2-2-1 with an expanded college football playoff and a scheduling partnership. It's going to get even dumber.
It's wild, but that's the like, and that's why I got to finish it up today. But that's why I reminded the thing called the format, because people need to understand. Like I didn't even understand like the actual format.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wait a second, let me go back and read this. Oh, all these guys automatically get buys.
Yeah.
Then they have to work it into the
and to make it dumber, Notre Dame doesn't.
Well, that's what I was about to get into is Notre Dame they have had a strong resurgence, but Northern Illinois looks really bad. They lost 2 in a row.
Yeah.
So, which makes it worse for Louisville too, because you just got beat. That game was frustrating.
Is there a scenario where Miami and Clemson both get in?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Run the table, Clemson wins, Miami loses.
I could see that.
Or is that, do you think, will the ACC get those two in? If they both get to Selection Sunday, as is.
And their only next loss is against one of the other. Yeah, I can see both of them getting in.
Okay.
Well, here's the other part. Georgia has the hardest path to get to the playoff.
Yeah, they really do.
It's insane what they have to do to get there. And they haven't shown anything that makes me feel super, with the exception of the Clemson game, obviously.
Yeah.
They haven't shown me a lot that makes me feel super confident against them on the road at Texas. We already saw them on the road lose to Alabama. Now they also have to host Tennessee. So
they'll beat Tennessee. That'll be a night game down there. They'll take care of them. I'm confident.
I think so too. But on the road at Texas.
Different story, yes.
So now we're talking about a 2-loss team that's not going to be in the SEC championship game, probably.
Correct.
So what does that look like? And that's going to be, and if we have a Texas and an Alabama, and then a team kind of skating around in Ole Miss, they also have to go to Ole Miss.
Ole Miss is dead.
I think so too. I agree with that. But
that was fake money. That was cryptocurrency. That wasn't real.
That's like the history of Ole Miss.
Yeah, that wasn't real.
Yeah.
But I think here's the problem with Ole Miss.
Tennessee is. Yeah.
Well, the thing that scares me about Ole Miss with respect to Lane Kiffin, he's slimy, dude. This is a guy, and listen, I'm slimy too. Okay, we play board games. I hide cards in my pocket.
Brownlow's told me, Felder. Brownlow's told me some stories about you trying to play games.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
For anyone that's playing against me.
Game recognizes game.
That's why I want at some point, maybe next summer when we need the content to be filled, I want to have you and Giglio play Uno, just see what happens.
Oh, dude, you kidding me? I'm killing it.
Joe gets mad.
Play for money.
You can be mad. That's fine. Listen, losing is losing. It don't matter if you're mad or you're happy. Don't mad, sad, doesn't matter. You're gonna lose. Because I'll tell you what. You know what I've got? I got a draw 4 in a place you're never going to expect, and it's going to come out.
I'm going to beat you to your point about Lane, though, and about Ole Miss, and that is he's going to get Buzz Williams. He's leaving, and the team will check out on him.
Where's he going?
Florida.
To Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They're going to give him a
That's a great spot for him.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's going to be I can't say no money.
Okay. I got you.
I mean, the money, but also he's going to be in Florida. He will still recruit. He also already has ties there. He will also play a brand of football that Florida likes.
Mm-hmm.
There are a handful of schools, Florida, USC. Who else are we even talking? They expect, we need to score 40 a game. And that's the style of football that he brings. So that does make sense, Giglio. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, this is what they want. That's what they're chasing. That's what they're hunting. It's the same thing with you got to play defense. If you're going to coach at Alabama, you got to play defense.
All right. So before we say goodbye, Felder, I wanted to highlight the newsletter, 4 Hard Downs. And I think your most recent edition, going all the way back to the first edition from this season, relates to how we talk about quarterbacks.
Yes.
And with DJ Giglio, who looks like, based on reports as of this recording, it looks like he might be done for the season at Florida State. But a lot of
what's the injury?
I think it's like a broken finger, is it not?
Technically a broken finger, but
okay.
I think it's 4 games. So
is he going to go somewhere else? Hey, maybe Dave Doeren's interested. Just have it go around.
Don't even. You guys have so many listeners in Raleigh. We cannot.
Like DJ might be the Mike O'Kane of quarterbacks.
Don't see. What you're doing is you're stirring the pot and you're riling them up.
Not me. What are you talking about? No, but on a serious note, I think look, DJ is what he is. He's not surprising anybody with his level of play. Right. And it goes back to the beginning of the season where the easy answer to Florida State's problem is, well, this is what you get with DJU. Except I'm watching a Florida State squad that can't stop anybody on the line, both offensively defensively, and their wide receiver group is not as good, which gets back to your most recent newsletter where it's like, not every interception's on the quarterback, y'all.
Right.
It's not.
It's not. Not every, like, that's the thing that I was talking, we all know Bud Elliott, right? And Bud and I, I was always thinking about it from a defensive back standpoint where, like, I created this interception, but he brought up fumbles.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, fumbles are 100% unpredictable.
Yeah.
It's literally like an oblong ball that bounces any way it wants, no matter what. Like, there's no one gets to pick.
I told my dad that in 2017 when Miami was running hot and getting to the ACC championship game against Clemson. And I told him,
completely sustainable.
That's what I told him. Like, you understand that this is a complete, like, great that it got him here, but this is not something that's a game plan. You don't create turnovers in that regard, especially with the fumble.
You can create fumbles.
Not everybody's doing a peanut punch, man. I'm just saying.
You can create fumbles, but recovering fumbles
is
an absolute crapshoot.
Yeah.
So to go back to the point about the quarterbacks, I mean, we watched BC play Western Kentucky this weekend. This man threw a perfect football right into the breadbasket, and the guy alligator arms it, and he doesn't just alligator arm it into the ground, he alligator arms it right into the defender. Okay, so that's an interception. That interception goes on the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It's a problem for the quarterback. I'm like, yeah, but he did everything right. It's not his fault. And the same thing happened. What was the other game? I wrote it down. Louisville and Notre Dame. That was a great throw from Shuck. Great throw. Right in the face mask. Guy should have caught it with hands. It looked like he took the ball and just like threw it to it looked like a chest pass in basketball.
Right.
Like right to him. You take it. But they were playing hot potato. So it's not like they're not all the quarterback's fault. I think we have to relitigate a lot of this stuff, and we don't do nearly enough of it. And it's frustrating to me to see people like, well, he threw this many picks. I'm like, have you seen these interceptions?
Yeah.
Because sometimes they're the other guys, they're the wide receiver's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're the offensive line's fault. Like, it's not like we've seen guys get like, when an offensive lineman is getting completely like bull rushed, meaning we got a 300-pound guy and then a 275-pound guy in the quarterback's lap while he's trying to make a throw, I don't think that's on him. That's all I'm saying.
Michael Felder in the bleachers, Hand in the Dirt podcast. This stole the show at the Sports Podcast Festival.
You guys were amazing.
Nah,
you guys had the best guest. You guys had a guest of notoriety. What did we have? We had a guy with 2 PBRs and no shirt on.
And everybody's going to remember it, Felder. Just saying.
Careful.
But we did all wear Jordans, though.
That's true. You guys did bring
coming out to Miley Cyrus.
I love it. I love it. All right, man. We will talk to you later. We'll catch up.
Sounds good.
Always a trip hanging out with Felder. Big thanks to the Butcher's Market. Check them out online, thebutchersmarkets.com. Locations all across the triangle, including 2 spots in Wilmington. And tonight, Joe, another Ovies family recipe handed down from generation to generation. Chicken meatballs and marinara.
Whoa.
It just happens to be frozen, already prepared. I just got to stick it in the oven for about 90 minutes.
Whoa.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is prepared meals from our friends at the Butcher's Market. So check them out online, thebutchersmarkets.com.
Hey, now you don't even just go to the stores because they have catering.
Let's go.
Available. Like, you want to be the star of your office? Catering. 919-785-5227. Be the star of your office, man. Get that food from the Butcher's Market.
Big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer. Check them out online, wh.lawyer, attorneys and counselors at law. Maybe I should get some legal work done to make sure that when I say Ovies family recipe handed down from generations, I can get a little mark on that.
Yeah.
Even though it's not really my food. But that's the kind of stuff that Whitaker and Hamer can do. So check them out online at wh.lawyer. And of course, Hometown Realty. Guaranteed offers, Joe. Not something you want to do.
No. Well, why would you want to cost yourself money? We're all about saving and maximizing on this program. You should be too. Buy and sell confidence. Hometown Realty. It's myhtr.com.
All right, let's get out of here on some Hey Joe. Let's go to the YouTube comments. We got Brandon, the guy you had on last week, James Henderson, Inside Pack Sports. Well, hold on a second. We'll
This is from yesterday.
It's from yesterday.
Okay,
we'll explain.
That's fair.
Let's get to this real quick. Nailed it when talking about State. They went out and got all these wide receivers, offensive weapons, yet they have not been utilized. The play calling doesn't even look like it has changed. I can't help but think those guys are super frustrated. It was supposed to be like the Joker quote from the first Keaton Batman. Where does he get all these wonderful toys? Instead, they're all in the toy box, not getting played with. That's a feature, not a bug for Dave Doeren, folks. We've got 12 years of data with this. Put that in your little yellow pad, Joe.
That's right.
From John, during these shows, Giglio acts like he's half asleep. We need Giglio to have Ovies energy. B-O-E. Big Ovies energy. You were sleepy yesterday.
I was yesterday.
And I asked you, like, what's up, dude? Like,
tired.
all that focus on Tetris.
No, we don't go hot and early. You know how my day goes. I peak here. I peak here.
So quick radio.
I peak
story.
at like 7:30, man.
I know. Quick radio story. Joe came over to radio.
So this is one of my favorite Ovies moments, actually.
And the show is at 3:00. And Joe, after the first hour of doing radio, will get super, super sleepy. And I thought, you know what? That's just reps.
Yeah.
That's just reps. He's got to get used to it. You know, all that kind of stuff. Build up the endurance, right? I mean, this is the first year of doing it for you. This is the 20-something year for me, right?
Right.
Time goes on. You're still like, oh, I'm so sleepy. Like mainline and coffee. I'm surprised I didn't just do a key bump before a show once. And speaking of woke versus coke.
We don't condone that, no.
No, we don't. The kids are listening, Joe.
They are.
And you came to me and you're like, what if?
I was like completely revolutionary. Yeah. I was so proud of myself.
What if we came in like early in the morning when I'm like, my juices are flowing. Okay. Where is it? Where's my thing?
I think my juices flow all the time.
At 7 a.m. And then we like play it at 3, as if nothing would have happened between 7 a.m. and 3:00.
In fairness, I wasn't suggesting the first hour of the show, but go ahead.
But anyway, I forgot what I said, but you remember it for some reason.
Oh,
you remember it. I don't remember it.
It was super obvious. It was basically like, it's a live radio show. If you want to do radio in the morning, get a fucking morning show.
I did say that.
And I was like, okay, got it.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right. That's fair.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Totally fair.
But in the end, you won. In the end, you won. In a way, because now we do the show in the morning, and I noticed a difference.
Yeah.
I noticed a difference.
Yeah, yesterday
we got started late.
We did.
Because we had other things that we're working on. So we got started late yesterday. I mean, it was a miracle to get the show out by 2:00 on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah, I've been there.
So I could tell you're like you were struggling to keep your eyes open. And then when we got done recording, you literally got on the floor of the studio and you fell asleep. What time do you go to bed, man?
It's kind of my problem. Like I fall asleep at like 7:30, 8.
Dude.
And then I wake up at like 10:30.
I know.
And then I can't go back to sleep. And then it's like I'll sleep from like 1 to like 5.
No, I know when you're awake because I start hearing.
Yeah.
My watch goes off between 5:30 and 6, but occasionally if I'm like half asleep, I start hearing because I have it on silent. I hear the doo doo on my nightstand.
What did I send you last night anyway? I something good.
You sent me some stuff about like, O2 and some other you didn't send me any reels.
Oh,
yesterday.
I didn't?
No. You were in like scheduling
slipping
mode.
Yeah.
You were thinking about things and you didn't even know what day it was.
I know.
You thought
I
it was
didn't look
Wednesday.
at the clock.
Anyway, from Duke football coverage, Duke football fan trying to be fair. If the Blue Devils want to make a run, the offense is going to have to be more consistent. But if the game stays close, even with an inconsistent offense, that's when Murphy's at his best. So I'm telling you, there is a chance. And look, that's what I agree with when it comes to Duke football. They're hanging out.
A chance at what?
To get to the ACC championship game.
Oh.
From 7-inch entertainment. 7-9. I don't even know. Unusually bad takes for NC State. You're not using your eyes and actually processing how awful our team is. It's not awful. Dave is not going to come back and win 8 this year. We will be lucky to win 2 conference games. When are we going to be done with Dave? And I'd simply responded, I'm like, I told you yesterday. You'll be done with Dave based on the Duke and the Carolina game. And to a certain extent, maybe this weekend with Wake Forest.
Ooh.
Just saying. And of course, Jay Clemens, UNC beating State is definite at this point, especially with this play not to lose thing Dave is doing. Mac has that game circled. Remember the last time Mac called the team classless, he won 12 straight against that team, which he ultimately lost to on Saturday.
Yeah, it was 13, but yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I'm glad everybody's on board with the, State's totally losing to Carolina at the end of the year.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Look, man, I'm with you too, but I already know, like to the listener's point, Mac, win one for the Gipper. Old man still got it. I walk out of here with a win against State. You flip those games. I don't even know what accent I'm doing. We need Aaron to do.
What was that? Was like Ross Perot.
It was almost Ross Perot-esque. We need Aaron to give us. I got to send him a script, and I was like, we won't say who this is.
We just did.
Shh. It's gonna wrap it up. We'll see you all tomorrow on a Wednesday, Joe.
Tomorrow's Wednesday.
Tomorrow is Wednesday.